in February of last year. I got arrested in Shelby County,
Okay.
and
So a year ago. Next month.
yes,
This
absolutely,
month.
on the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they gave me a suite at Shelby County jail,
Yeah.
and
Sweet.
yeah, and I was there, and really grateful that the Lord just showed me that that was Him sitting me down,
Okay.
and that I'd gone far enough, and it was time to come back to the table, and
Yeah.
so I got a Bible while I was in there and started reading it, and my brother had been to the program.
Okay.
He didn't do very well, but that put Brother Brian Mission
On the map,
on
yeah.
my radar, absolutely. And so I knew that I needed to get in right relationship with God. I knew that, and Brother Brian Mission got put in front of me, and I said yes and amen. I did both of my interviews over the phone in jail,
Okay.
and the second one was with Brian and Lee. And I got off the phone and I was like, I blew it.
Hey guys, welcome to the Intermission Podcast. I'm George Webby. I'm here with Michael Farley, a recent graduate. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
So let me ask you something. So tell us a little bit about what brought you to Brother Brian Mission.
Okay. Wow, that's a really long story. Well, so this is my first time in recovery.
Okay.
In 2018, I ended up at the Foundry Recovery Center, and which is actually where I came to faith in Christ.
Okay.
And so I was a heroin addict, very functioning heroin addict for about 7 years, and until I just completely fell apart.
Right.
And I ended up at the Foundry and did well there for about 3 months, and then I got dismissed from the program for an inappropriate relationship.
Okay.
And was really, on fire for the Lord, of course, like new Christians get.
Sure. New hire fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was doing really well, man. And eventually, God blessed me with a really good job, apartment. He just kind of flooded me with all these amazing blessings at once. And I kind of just said, I got it from here, Lord, and stopped going to church.
Jesus, give me back the wheel.
Absolutely. Yeah. Stopped going to church, stopped staying in fellowship, and it was a really quick road to relapse from there. It was like, I don't know, 3 months, I think.
Yeah.
And I was back full swing. But I switched to meth as my DOC, or drug of choice.
Yeah.
And man, like once you turn your life over to God and then go the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable.
It's not. No, it's not. And you fall way, way further and way faster. And so I had that really good job, and I was able to keep it together for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Even though it was very obviously falling apart, like pretty quickly. And so I ended up homeless for about close to a year. Sort of got back on my feet a little bit, but I was just white knuckling it, and it showed.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold a job after a while. And so I was trying to supplement my income by shoplifting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. There's no job. You got to get money somehow.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So I ended up in February of last year. I got arrested in Shelby County.
Okay.
And
so a year ago. Next month.
Yes,
This
absolutely.
month.
On the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they gave me a suite at Shelby County jail.
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
yeah. And I was there and really grateful that the Lord just showed me that, that was him sitting me down.
Okay.
And that I'd gone far enough, and it was time to come back to the table. And so I got a Bible while I was in there and started reading it. And my brother had been to the program.
Okay.
He didn't do very well, but that put Brother Brian Mission
on the map,
on my radar. Yeah. Absolutely. And so I knew that I needed to get in right relationship with God. I knew that. And Brother Brian Mission got put in front of me, and I said yes and amen. I did both of my interviews over the phone in jail.
Okay.
And the second one was with Brian and Lee. And I got off the phone and I was like, I blew it.
Yeah.
I did not feel confident about that interview whatsoever. But the next time I talked to Lee, he was like, we're going to bring you in. As soon as you get out of jail, you'll have a bed. And so I sat there. They skipped by my court dates a couple of times and didn't really tell me much. And then one day, they came and got me and took me. A judge proxied to sign me off on 2 years of probation, and I was there at Brother Brian Mission the very next day.
Awesome. And so kind of tell us about, as you came here, what was your time like in the mission? Kind of tell us, going through program, ups, downs, whatever. What was the experience like?
So just based on my experience with the Foundry,
okay,
I thought that I knew what to expect coming here, and I couldn't have been more wrong.
Sorely mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would say the differences? You don't have to go into great detail, but just like some of the things that really just like, oh man, this is completely different.
The level of involvement from the staff is radically different.
Okay.
I don't know, like the participants run the program over there. And I'm not trying to downplay anything.
No, that's what we're doing.
Yes, I think they've got to,
they do their thing, we do ours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, but here, we're in class all day. You guys are pouring into us all day, every day.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Like as soon as I got here, the first thing I've noticed was the love that the brothers have for each other here is unreal.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that last night in Bible study, just being in an environment where everybody around you is attempting to be God-centered and God-oriented. Like the interactions that take place in an environment like that are just wildly different from the way that the world interacts with itself.
Yeah, as it should be, right? As
Absolutely.
We learn about it,
yeah.
It shouldn't be as shocking to us when we come into contact with that sort of thing. It should be such a surprise.
Yeah.
Especially in like Christian circles, you go like, this seems like it would be the way you would always do it.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It is a shocking thing. It's what attracted me to coming here to be on staff was the fact that how centered they were on the gospel of Jesus and get people to faithfully follow him. I was like, wow, how can I be more involved with this?
Absolutely.
I'm just in love with this. And so that's great, man. So you're graduating. You graduate technically. You do the ceremony here next week. So what would you say has been like the key to your success? I know it's a relationship with Jesus. I know you're going to be the first one to say that.
Absolutely.
But what would you say to a man who has a relationship with Jesus, to get through this kind of program? What would you say is kind of a secret?
The love thing is huge. Don't shy away from it because as men, it's really easy.
Yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah.
We
don't naturally job like that, man. Yeah. But it's huge. It's important, and it's the way God designed us.
Yes.
And so why you would try to butt heads with that? So that's one thing. Submit to love.
Okay.
I think is huge. And another thing is, and this is probably easy for me to say because I'm a musician. Like within the context of the body, it was really easy for me to just jump in and start serving.
Like serving, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think that
you already have talent to use a gifting inside that.
Right. So. But I don't want that to be. I don't want that to limit my scope of interaction with the church.
Yeah.
But I think you got to get in where you can fit in.
Yeah.
Build that level of responsibility to your church. First of all, find a church and become a member of that church.
Yeah.
And build a level of responsibility to it so that you're not just in the seat on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
That's not
holding a chair down.
Yeah.
filling a pew, filling a
Right.
slot there. Yeah, and that's always, our mission at Brother Brian, part of our philosophy, if you will, our kind of game plan is to get men involved in local churches. I mean, because for us, it's like kind of get them up, clean them up, feed them, get them right with God, get them kind of back on their feet, and then hand them off to a church.
Right.
It's very much like the Good Samaritan. Not saying we're the Good Samaritan, but saying like, you're picking the guy up that's been beat up and left for dead. You clean him up, you bandage him up, and you hand him to the innkeeper and say, hey, take care of this guy. We'll kind of, nurture as we see. Now, obviously, as Jesus, we get into all of those other things, but ultimately, that's the idea, is to hand him off to a church, and then he grow with that church going forward. And so it's so vital that we have churches involved with us, and then our men get involved in churches. So that's what you're speaking to is 100% true.
And that's, I mean, the churches that are involved, I mean, it's not just like y'all threw a dart at a map and that's where it landed. These churches want to see these guys do well, and they're very involved.
Those partner churches definitely are super intentional, and you can see there's a calling in their life to be involved.
Absolutely.
So I agree on that. All right. So I guess the next question I normally ask is like, what would you say to a man who's thinking about coming to a program? They've heard of Brother Brian, maybe family members have heard of Brother Brian. What would you say to that person that maybe is on the fence and doesn't really know if this is the right direction for them?
If you're on the fence, I don't think there's a better indicator that you need to be here.
Okay. So you're saying if you're on the fence, you need to be here.
I don't think any man comes here apart from God drawing.
I agree. I think there's nothing arbitrary. It's very intentional. I think every man walks the door, even if he stays here for a very short time. It's for us to be exposed to him to be exposed to us, him to be exposed to the one other guys. I mean, or the churches or the CRs or the different partners we have. There's a reason for whatever.
Right.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. So you're saying just go ahead and pull the trigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. At least do an interview, see what happens.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. What would you say to the last question I generally ask is, what would you say to, those people that help us, say churches, volunteers, those that donate, what would you say to those folks? Like, what's the impact they're having? What would you communicate to them?
It's thank you, first of all, for being willing to serve where God's calling you to do that. I mean, and the impact that sort of thing is having on the lives of men is a real, intangible, and invaluable.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with that 100%.
We're talking about this place helps men get in right relationship with God.
Yeah.
And that's going to reverberate throughout their entire life.
That's right.
And every facet of it.
Yeah.
There cannot be enough said about the real impacts of what goes on here on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Yeah, it creates like legacy. I mean, it really is. I mean, if they get connected to their families, and if they go back to their families as a man of God, is what our goal is.
Right.
Imagine
you're talking about transforming the context of a family dynamic.
That's right.
That's just one facet of that jewel, and you just shift it a little bit, and you'd see a whole another spectrum of change that's happening in and around this man's life, and the things and people that he interacts with is huge.
Yeah. I think what we do, and this is not a toot your horn, I think what God's doing here, let's put it that way, I think that's better served that way,
right,
is underestimated and it's undervalued. It really is, man, because the impact, people just really don't see the impact. A lot of times in churches, they long to see transformation happen in people's lives through the gospel, especially the staff or those ministers involved in churches. And you can go years without seeing the things that we see in a week. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. And it's like when you can't really sell that or tell that to people, they have to experience it. And they go like, wow, I didn't realize this is how it works. It's so crazy.
Dude, and especially just like being like, so I've been here since April.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of guys come in, and just watching that transformation, there's their countenance, the way they interact with others, the way they begin to view themselves.
Yeah.
To watch that change happen is wild.
It's wild. To see dudes do it in front of you, like you just like
because guys will come in and you're like, oh, I don't know about this.
No way this guy's making it past a week.
Right, man. But they end up just proving you're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Joyfully, you're like,
Absolutely.
I'm glad I was wrong about this guy, for sure. Yeah, because we look at the exterior, God looks at the interior, and he sees that molded clay and sees what he's going to make that into. We're just looking at molded clay, and it's just like, that's lumpy.
How you going to smooth that out?
I don't know how you do that, Lord.
Yeah, he does it. For sure, he does it.
Awesome, man. It's been a pleasure, Michael. I appreciate you being on the show. That's going to conclude this episode of the Enter the Mission podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. God be with you. Peace.